Well, we're here at the King Power Stadium at Leicester, and Liverpool are playing the first silverware of the season. They are the Community Shield champions. Can we say champions, Tom?
I think so, yeah.
Yep. They've won by 3-1, and we're going to dig a little bit deeper into that win over Manchester City. Obviously, Liverpool qualified as FA Cup winners. City won the Premier League last season. And the traditional curtain raised for the new campaign, which apparently on my contract I have to say it's called that. Anyway, Liverpool took the lead after 21 minutes through Trent Alexander-Arnold. Tom, a shot deflected in off the head of Nathan Ake, and that was kind of what Liverpool deserved at that point.
Yeah, they started really well, I thought, in the game. We saw Mohamed Salah causing all kind of problems with João Cancelo down the right side. Just think within the first 5 minutes of the game, he managed to beat him, cut inside into the area and take that shot which hit the side netting. And then after that, City, struggling to kind of get any foothold on the game, create any major openings. And when Trent scored that goal, it was a deserved lead. Liverpool had been on top, majority possession. And I think if you're a City fan, you could kind of see it coming a little bit.
Because there was a bit of concern, wasn't there, about Liverpool's preparations for this game? Because they'd had a few iffy results and certainly a few iffy performances during the preparations. But City had only had 2 friendlies, and they took a while to get going, and Liverpool capitalised on that, didn't they?
Yeah, I thought City did look a bit slow sort of early on in the game. Later on in the match, I think particularly when they brought on substitutes, Alvarez in particular, it did look a bit more lively. But yeah, like you say, whenever you see sides in pre-season, it's usually the ones that have had a bit more preparation, more minutes, that always look a bit sharper. And Liverpool did look like that team. I think City have had 2 matches, is it? I think they played. And Jurgen Klopp's obviously been mentioning the importance of having more friendlies. He wants to play another game next week after Liverpool's first match of the season, and that's probably why, because he feels Liverpool need to get, even after that point, they're still not quite up to speed. And City definitely weren't. Didn't look like the side that were.
Now Alvarez scored the equaliser with, I think it was 20 minutes going, but then since that moment, the main story became Darwin Nunez. I mean, this game was billed as Nunez against Haaland. Erling Haaland was making his first competitive game for Manchester City. He actually started the game. We'll come on to him in a minute because he had a poor miss at the end, and I thought Matip and Van Dijk, while they played him quite well, I thought City kind of struggled to get him into the game because they're playing a different style with a different kind of number 9. And that's the thing that Liverpool are still, trying to contend with Nunez. I mean, it'll come for the pair of them. But for Nunez, in fact, Klopp made the right call. He started with Firmino, then brought on Nunez when City were tiring a little bit. And within a few minutes, he'd nearly taken Ederson's face off with a shot that that hit him. He possibly could have scored there. Then he won a penalty with a header that was handled by Diaz. I mean, obviously Craig Pawson didn't spot it at the time. The AR spotted it, and Pawson changed his mind and gave the spot kick. And then obviously the big moment for him though was in injury time when he gets the goal cross from Salah, headed down by Robertson, and he stooped to conquer by nodding in from close range. And I thought it was quite interesting, the celebrations. Well, I'm sure if Liverpool would have lost this game, would have gone, well, it's the Community Shield. Who's that bothered about it? But with it being City, with it being just the way that the game was, I know a lot of people were complaining this game. Well, obviously it couldn't be played at Wembley because the Women's Euros final is on Sunday. Yeah. It could have been played somewhere else. Certainly, it took people a long time to get it. It took us 3 hours, and we left here quite early. I've heard stories of people from Manchester and Liverpool taking 4 hours to get here. But it was a great atmosphere in here. Yeah. Not the biggest ground, it was a good atmosphere, and it kind of added to it. So when Nunez scores and he runs over, just over there actually, to that corner, and he's celebrating, the pyro's going off. It meant a lot to him, and it meant a lot to Liverpool as well, because there's this great weight that's been lifted off his shoulders.
Yeah, there's definitely pressure on Haaland and Nunez. Haaland scored on his debut for City against Bayern, so he immediately sort of got that one off his back, whereas Nunez obviously didn't manage to do that for Liverpool. Eventually got the 4 goals against RB Leipzig, but already by that point he had people on his case, rival supporters.
The compilation kids.
Yeah.
That's what it is, yeah.
On his case, saying, "Oh, why Liverpool sign him? We've got Haaland. Look what he's done." But you could see it today. City were just trying to find him at every opportunity. Playing balls into the box to him, and like you said, Matip and Van Dijk dealt with it really well throughout the game. He never really caused any real danger, I didn't think. Matip and Van Dijk were winning all the battles in the air, out strengthening him. And by the end of the game, you could just see his look on his face and that miss. It was just a case of, it was my day today, and it certainly was Nunez's day, as you saw at the other end. Came on as a sub against Leipzig when he got the 4 goals. Came on at half time. He only needed half an hour today to have a massive contribution. So, that kind of thing is going to do him well be good for his confidence going forward, because as a striker, your game's very much about confidence. You know, we've seen it so many times. Players go through a bad run, it's hard to get back to that good form. So if he's been able to do that performance against a side like City, he's going to be feeling confident against every team he plays next season.
I mean, the good thing about Nunez as well is that it seems that Liverpool are already finding ways of getting him into the game. So Liverpool didn't score from a lot of crosses, and they managed to get, the penalty was from a cross, and the third goal was from a cross as well. But integral to that, and all the way through the game, you mentioned before, was Mohamed Salah. Now he's signed his contract, so he's kind of got that. Well, I didn't think it really kind of affected his game too much. It didn't look like it did, but the numbers suggested that it did in terms of his goal output in the latter half of last season, although there were obviously other reasons. He played the African Cup of Nations and had a bit of had a blow of that, and then not qualifying for the World Cup. So you look at his performance today though, he's involved in all 3 goals. You mentioned Cancelo, who just like to get forward, not so keen on getting back. He caused him a lot of problems, and while it's just it's incredible to think now, he's been there for 5 years now, and he's still playing at such that high level, and he's still knocking the games out. In a game like this, where he obviously scored the penalty as well for the second one. It was here last season where he missed a penalty at the other end, playing against Leicester. So a little bit of a bonus for him, but he's just such a good player, isn't he?
Yeah, I think the Echo's Liverpool correspondent Paul Gorse said something similar recently. He was backing Salah to have a campaign similar to the first half of last season, where he was so good in all of those matches in the opening 3 or 4 months. But like you said, his form did drop off in the second half of the season. We saw Sadio Mane obviously then stepping forward. But I think again it comes down to confidence, like I was saying before. He came back on the back of 2 painful defeats with his country. He probably found that a bit hard to get over, especially with Sadio Mane in the team who knocked him out on both occasions. But yeah, like you said, he's got the contract out of the way. That was probably a major issue for him. He was referring to it a lot, doing interviews, just making sly comments about the contract. So now that this is sorted, you would imagine he's going to be back on confidence, back to top performances for Liverpool, and it's going to be exactly what Klopp and the rest of the team need.
Well, that just about does here for the King Power Stadium. Liverpool have won the first trophy of the season, and will it be a barometer for what's to come? We'll soon find out.